Good afternoon, children. Today we come to the last part, part 3 of lipogenesis. In this class, I shall be taking you through the synthesis of monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fatty acids, a little bit about the prostaglandin, the eicosanoids, and then we will talk about the clinical aspects of lipid disorders. So let's start. So first of all, we have a look at the monounsaturated fatty acid synthesis. So till now, what we have done is made a molecules of lipids which are completely saturated. Now we will learn how the body is able to insert double bonds in between to make these various unsaturated fatty acids. Molecules of oxygen and energy either as NADH or NADPH for this reaction. Then prostaglandins, thromboxanes, leukotrienes and lipoxins. These four compounds we collectively call as the eicosanoids, that means 20 carbon, and they reflect their origin from omega-3 and omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acids. Now these four compounds are extremely potent and they elicit a wide range of responses, meaning to say that both the inflammatory and hypersensitivity responses of our body, they are elicited by these compounds and they act through what is known as a G protein linked receptor. And this G protein linked receptor, this brings into effect the inflammatory and hypersensitivity reactions of these four compounds. Now, they also are very helpful for our body. They ensure the integrity of the gastric mucosa. They ensure a proper renal function. They regulate smooth muscle contraction, both intestinal as well as uterine, and the blood vessel diameter, and maintain platelet homeostasis. Now, although these compounds, prostaglandin, thromboxanes, they have been compared to hormones in the way they act, but the eicosanoids, they are different from the endocrine hormones that you are currently studying in the class, in that they are produced in very small amount in almost all tissues, in most of these cells, rather than in specialized glands, for example in thyroid or adrenal, and they act locally. That means if a particular cell produces prostaglandins, it will act around it and not be able to transport it to a distant site, just like the hormones. The eicosanoids, they are not stored and they have a very short half-life, and they are rapidly metabolized to inactive products. Okay, now with this background, let's proceed further for the synthesis that polyunsaturated fatty acids, they involve not only desaturase but also an enantiase enzyme system. So in this, it is different from the monounsaturated that apart from one double bond, additional double bonds are introduced into an existing monounsaturated fatty acids, and in between the two double bonds they are separated by a methylene group. Now most of the animals, that is us also, they have a delta 9 desaturase. So what happens is they are able to synthesize the omega 9 family of unsaturated fatty acids. Omega 9 is the oleic acid family. So they can make this completely by a combination of chain elongation and desaturation after the formation of a saturated oleic acid molecule. However, the linoleic and the alpha linolenic acids, they are required for synthesis of the other members of the omega 6 and omega 3 families, and they must be supplied in the diet because they are essential fatty acids. So the linoleic acid can be converted to arachidonic acid, that is a 20 carbon 4 double bonds belonging to the omega 6 family via conversion to gamma linolenic acid, that is an 18 carbon 3 double bonds belonging to the omega 6 family. Therefore, because linoleic acid can form arachidonic acid, the body's nutritional requirement for arachidonic acid may therefore be dispensed with if we are able to have adequate linoleate in the diet. Now this chain elongation desaturation system for the production of polyunsaturated fatty acids, they are greatly diminished in the starving state, when the body does not know where the next food is going to come from. We are not going to produce polyunsaturated fatty acids. In response to glucagon and epinephrine administration, because glucagon, epinephrine, they trigger gluconeogenesis so that the body can have more glucose, and also it is diminished in type 1 diabetes mellitus when there is an absence of insulin in the body. Now, deficiency symptoms, they will occur when our diet does not contain essential fatty acids. So it was found that if rats, they are the experiment animals, if they are fed a purified non-lipid diet which contains adequate quantities of vitamin A and D, they show a reduced growth rate and also reproductive deficiency, which may be cured by the addition of linoleic, alpha linolenic and arachidonic acid to the diet. Now, these three essential fatty acids, they are found in high concentration in vegetable oils and a very small amount in animal flesh. So we have already seen these essential fatty acids are required for the synthesis of prostaglandin, thromboxane, leukotrienes and lipoxin, and other which have other functions which are less well defined. Now these essential fatty acids, they are found in the structural lipid of the cell, often in position 2 of phospholipids. So if you look at the cell membrane, if you remember, it is an amphipathic cell membrane. So on phospholipids, position 2 contains one of the essential fatty acids, and they are also concerned with the structural integrity of the mitochondrial membrane. Arachidonic acid, you will see, is present in membranes, and 5 to 15% of the fatty acids in the phospholipids, they contain arachidonic acid. The DHA, the docosahexaenoic acid, omega-3, 22 carbon, 6 double bonds, this is synthesized to a limited extent from alpha-linolenic acid, or it is present in large amount in fish oils. And this DHA is seen to be found in high concentration in the retina, in the cerebral cortex, in the testes and the sperms. So this DHA is needed for the development of the brain and the retina, and it is supplied to the fetus via the placenta and the milk. And therefore, patients with retinitis pigmentosa, they have been seen to have very low level of this DHA. In essential fatty acid deficiency, all the non-essential polyenoic acids of the omega-9 family, particularly the delta 5, 8 and 11 eicosanoic acid, they replace the essential fatty acids in the phospholipid, other complex lipids and the membranes, and this does not help the body at all. Now the cyclooxygenase pathway, it is responsible for the prostanoid synthesis. As we have seen, the arachidonate, which is obtained from the diet, but as I have just said now, it is on position 2 of the phospholipid in the plasma membrane, and they are obtained for further action by the action of the enzyme phospholipase A2. So phospholipase A2 acts on the arachidonate in the plasma membrane, and this becomes the substrate for the later synthesis of prostaglandin 2 or the thromboxane 2 series. They are known as the prostanoids. And the enzyme pathway is known as the cyclooxygenase pathway. Or it may form the leukotriene 4 or the lipoxin 4 series by the lipooxygenase pathway. These prostanoids are potent biologically active substance. The thromboxanes, they are synthesized in the platelet, and when they are released from the platelet, they cause vasoconstrictions of the blood vessel and also the aggregation of the platelet. Now, their synthesis is specifically inhibited by low dose aspirin. So what happens is that nowadays most of the clinician in a person 40, 45, 50-year-old, they have given a low dose of aspirin, long-acting aspirin, approximately 75 milligram per day, and it acts on the platelets wall. It prevents the release of thromboxanes by preventing the formation of thromboxane, and hence they prevent vasoconstriction and platelet aggregation, which if allowed may lead to, say, myocardial infarction or cerebrovascular infarction. Prostacyclins, the PGI2s, they are produced by blood vessel wall, and they are potent inhibitors of platelet aggregation. Therefore, you will see that the thromboxane and the prostacyclin are antagonistic to each other. PG3 and TX3. They are formed from the eicosapentaenoic acids, and they both inhibit the release of arachidonate from the phospholipid and thus inhibit the release of PG2 and TX2. So the first step in prostaglandin and thromboxane synthesis is what is known as oxidative cyclization of free arachidonic acid, and this yields PGH2. So this is the linoleic acid. So you have a desaturase elongate system, and it forms arachidonic acid, and through the lipooxygenase system, and this lipooxygenase system ultimately leads to a formation of a molecule known as PGH2. The enzyme is known as PGH2 synthase or the prostaglandin endoperoxidase synthase. So this PGH2 synthase, it is bound, membrane bound protein in the endoplasmic reticulum, and it has two catalytic activities. One is as a fatty acid cyclooxygenase, also known as abbreviated as COX. They require two molecules of oxygen. And the second activity is as a peroxidase, which requires reduced glutathione. So you have a cyclooxygenase, two molecules of oxygen, and peroxidase, which requires reduced glutathione. Now this PGH2, they are converted to a variety of prostaglandin thromboxanes. In our body, two enzymes of PGH2 synthase are found, and we call them as COX1 and COX2. Now COX1 is made constitutively in most tissues, and this COX1 is required for the maintenance of a healthy gastric tissue, renal homeostasis, and platelet aggregation. COX2 is an inducible in a limited number of tissues in response to products of activated immune and inflammatory cells. Therefore, the increase in the prostaglandin synthesis subsequent to the COX2 mediates the pain, heat, redness, and swelling of inflammation and the fever of infection. Therefore, you see that COX1 is the good COX. COX2 is the mode by which most of our inflammatory reactions, the fever caused by it, it is mediated by this COX2 enzyme. So here what we are seeing is that we have the three groups of eicosanoids and their biosynthetic origin. So starting from here, you see that in the diet, if we have a linoleate, as I said, via the formation of a gamma linoleate, it forms a molecule of dihomo gamma linoleate, and this you have a desaturase system and a chain elongation system. You have added two carbon molecules, and this by the cyclooxygenase pathway. The one denotes the cyclooxygenase, two denotes the lipooxygenase. So cyclooxygenase pathway, it will form the group 1 prostanoids, that is the PGE1, F1 and TXA-A1. And by the lipooxygenase, it forms the leukotrienes. If you desaturate this system, this molecule, it will form the arachidonic acid. So also it will come from membrane phospholipid by the action of the phospholipase A2 enzyme. And this phospholipase A2 enzyme is activated by these molecules of inflammatory response in our body, that is angiotensin 2, bradykinin, epinephrine and thrombin. So it releases arachidonate. This arachidonate is responsible for the formation of the group 2 prostanoids, leukotrienes and lipoxins by the cyclooxygenase and the lipooxygenase pathway. The third is the alpha-linoleate. Alpha-linoleate, after desaturation and the addition of 2 carbon molecule, it forms a molecule of what is known as an eicosapentanoate, that is 5 double bonds, and this eicosapentanoate by the action of cyclooxygenase forms the group 3 prostanoids and the leukotrienes. So this in a nutshell are the different ways that the body produces these 3 groups of prostaglandins, leukotrienes, lipoxins and thromboxanes. Here we will talk about the conversion of arachidonic acid to prostaglandins and thromboxanes of series 2. So the arachidonate, the cyclooxygenase PGG2 and PGH2, which we talked in the previous slides. This cyclooxygenase is inhibited by these NSAIDs, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, aspirin, indomethacin and ibuprofen. And this PGH2 will form PGT2, will form PGF2 alpha. So these are the different prostaglandins, the prostacyclins and the thromboxanes which are formed by arachidonate by formation of PGH2. Now this, as we discussed, that these 4 compounds which are formed in the body, they have a very short life. Very short half-life. So this cyclooxygenase, the enzyme, is basically a suicide enzyme. And this switching off of the prostaglandin activity is achieved by a remarkable property that of this cyclooxygenase system. And the property is that the enzyme self-catalyzes its own destruction, and that is why it is also an example of a suicide enzyme. So the synthesis of prostaglandin and thromboxanes can also be done inhibited by unrelated compounds. Cortisol, we all know about the corticosteroids, which are a steroidal anti-inflammatory agent which many of us use in the hospital to save the patient's lives. Now cortisol, they inhibit the phospholipase A2 activity and therefore the arachidonic acid, which is the substrate for the prostaglandin and thromboxane synthesis, and it does not allow them to be released from the membrane phospholipids. As I just now said, aspirin, indomethacin and the phenylbutozones, all of them are non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, also what we call as the NSAIDs. They inhibit both COX-1 and COX-2 and therefore they prevent the synthesis of the parent molecule PGH2 in the body. So this aspirin, the salicylic acts on COX-1 and COX-2. It forms salicylic acid, and this aspirin, which is actually acetyl salicylic acid, it passes on the acetyl group to COX-1 and COX-2 to form an acetylated COX-1 COX-2, and therefore it inhibits the COX-1 and COX-2 acting on the phospholipase on the cell membrane to form prostaglandin thromboxanes. Now, if systematically, if we inhibit COX-1, it leads to the damage to the stomach and kidney, and also impaired clotting of blood, and this is the basis of aspirin's toxicity. So you will hear that there are certain patients, एक गोली एस्पिरिन खाया मर गया, because he was highly sensitive. उसका जो COX-1 था उसको ऐसा इनहिबिट किया कि उसका पेट का लाइनिंग, उसकी किडनी की फंक्शनिंग और ब्लड क्लॉट नहीं होने देता है. So there is extreme amount of bleeding from the mouth due to gastric bleeding. This aspirin, but not the other NSAIDs, they induce synthesis of lipoxins. And this lipoxin, which is an anti-inflammatory mediator, which is made from arachidonic acid, and also resolvins and protectins. So these all are inflammation resolving mediators which are made from the EPAs, the eicosapentaenoic acids. Now, inhibitors specific for COX-2, very conveniently known as COXIBs. That COXIBs are a group of pharmacological compounds which inhibit COX-2. And one of the example is celecoxib, which was used extensively for joint pains. So this COX-2 inhibitor, these were designed to reduce the pathologic inflammatory process जो कि COX-2 के थ्रू होता था, और ये अलाउ करता था क्योंकि इसने COX-1 पर एक्ट नहीं किया. मगर क्या हुआ कि later on it was found that इसका यूज से there was an increased risk of heart attack, maybe because PGI2 का synthesis decrease हो गया, and hence this particular brand of celecoxib has been reduced, but we still have a few COX-1 and COX-2 inhibitors available in the. Now thromboxanes and prostaglandins, their role in the platelet homeostasis. The thromboxanes A2 is produced by COX-1 in an activated platelet, and this promotes platelet adhesion and aggregation and also contraction of the vascular smooth muscle. और इसके चलते क्या होता है कि there is a formation of the thrombus or the blood clot. The prostacyclins PGI2, which are produced by COX-2 inside the vascular endothelial cells, ये क्या करते हैं कि ये प्लेटलेट एग्रीगेशन को इनहिबिट करते हैं, ये वेसोडाइलेशन स्टिमुलेट करते हैं, और in the net result is that they impede or slow down the process of thrombogenesis. तो जो ये जो अपोजिंग इफेक्ट है TXA2 और PGI2 का, ये हमारे बॉडी में थ्रोम्बाई फॉर्मेशन का साइट ऑफ वैस्कुलर इंजरी पे कम करता है. You will realize that as you study, you must have studied in physiology, that many a times our different blood vessels, they get damaged due to हाथ में चोट लग गया, पैर में चोट लग गया, कोई पीछे से मार दिया, so what happens is कि ये ब्लड वेसल्स डैमेज हो रहा है, तो एक तरफ क्या होता है, ये हमारा बॉडी थ्रोम्बस बनाने लगता है, चूंकि प्लेटलेट इंजरी हुआ है, वो पर्टिकुलर ग्रुप ऑफ प्रोस्टेनॉइड्स निकलेंगे। उसके उल्टा में उसको रोकने के लिए ये दूसरा ग्रुप आ जाता है। तो TXA2 एंड PGI2 दोनों एक दूसरे को थोड़ा थोड़ा काउंटर करके ये थ्रोम्बोजेनेसिस जो होता है इसको इनहिबिट करता है। तो ये कैसे करता है, दैट एस्पिरिन का जो जस्ट हमें आई हैव टोल्ड यू, एस्पिरिन हैज एन एंटी थ्रोम्बोजेनिक बाय inhibiting the TXA2 synthesis by COX-1 in the platelets and PGI2 synthesis by COX-2 in the endothelial cell through the irreversible acetylation of the COX-1 and the COX-2 isoenzymes. Now this COX-1 inhibition, they cannot be overcome in the platelets because they lack nucleus. But इसका उल्टा, the COX-2 inhibition can be overcome in the endothelial cells because they have a nucleus and therefore can generate more of the enzymes. तो यही डिफरेंस है COX-1 और COX-2 के इनहिबिशन में। लो डोज एस्पिरिन देने से क्या होता है कि COX-2 का काम ज्यादा होता है, COX-1 का कम होता है, just because of the difference or lack of nucleus, and this is the basis कि कैसे thrombogenesis को हम लोग कम करते हैं, and therefore the risk of brain stroke and heart attack is decreased. Now we will just look at the functioning of the prostaglandin and thrombosis. तो कुछ हम आपको दिखाएंगे। तो TXA2 ये produced by COX-1 primarily in the platelet. As we have just seen, this promotes platelet aggregation, vaso and bronchoconstrictions. It mobilizes the intracellular calcium and also leads to the contraction of the smooth muscles. So please just remember a few of these compounds so that you can write in the short notes. PGI2 or prostacyclin, this is produced by COX-2 in the endothelial walls of the vessels, and it leads to vasodilation and inhibits the platelet aggregation. PGE2, this is produced by most tissues and it leads to vasodilation. It protects the gastric mucosa, regulates the renal function, potentiates the pain sensation, it stimulates uterine contraction, and it is required for fever response. So PGE2 or prostaglandin E2 is many times used by the gynecologists and the obstetricians who start uterine contraction in a female. Especially they use it for the medical termination of pregnancy. Now PGF2 alpha, this is produced by most of the tissues of the body, and it has both vasoconstrictive and bronchoconstrictive activity. It also leads to contraction of the smooth muscle, and this also stimulates the contraction of the uterus. Now these leukotrienes and lipoxin, they are formed by the lipooxygenase pathway. तो ये जो leukotrienes है, ये basically are a family of conjugated trienes जो कि icosanoic acid से बनता है leukocytes में, mastocytoma cells में, platelets में and macrophages में, और पाथवे होता है lipooxygenase pathway, and किसके रिस्पॉन्स में? इन रिस्पॉन्स टू बोथ इम्यूनोलॉजिक एंड नॉन इम्यूनोलॉजिक स्टिमुलाई. तो हमारे शरीर में 3 different lipooxygenase, they insert oxygen at carbon 5 12 and 15 position of arachidonic acid, and they give rise to a compound known as hydroperoxides, HPETE. Only 5 lipooxygenase forms leukotrienes. Lipoxygens, these are a family of conjugated tetraenes. They also arise from the leukocytes, and they are formed by combined action of more than one lipooxygenase enzymes. So, the arachidinate and the different lipooxygenase, the 5 lipooxygenase gives rise to the 5 HPETE, and they form the different leukotrienes A4, B4, the lipoxygens, and the leukotrienes C4, D4 and E4. So you have to just keep it in your mind. ये कैसे बनता है थोड़ा थोड़ा details. I don't think nobody will ask you that, but if you know it, you never know. So leukotriene C4 से ग्लूटामिक एसिड निकालोगे तो D4 बनेगा, ग्लाइसिन निकालोगे तो E4 बनेगा. And what is their use in the body? They have contraction of smooth muscle action, ब्रोंकोकॉन्स्ट्रिक्शन होता है, वेजोकॉन्स्ट्रिक्शन होता है, ये वैस्कुलर परमिएबिलिटी इंक्रीज करते हैं, इसीलिए ब्लड वेसल्स से लीकेज होता है इंट्रावैस्कुलर फ्लूइड्स का. द सिस्टेनाइल ल्यूकोट्राइन, दे मेक अप व्हाट इज नोन एज द स्लो रिएक्टिंग सब्सटेंस ऑफ एनाफिलैक्सिस, एंड दिस SRSA, this is the substance that is involved in the pathophysiology of asthma. और ये जो सीजनल एलर्जीज होता है, बहुत लोगों को घास के पोलन से या जब पत्ता झड़ने का सीजन होता है, a lot of people have allergies. So this slow reacting substance of anaphylaxis, this causes that, and this is evolved from the leukotrienes. The leukotriene A4, ये ल्यूकोसाइट्स में, प्लेटलेट्स में, मास सेल्स में और हार्ट और लंग के वैस्कुलर टिश्यू में ये यहां से प्रोड्यूस्ड होता है. अब हम लोग थोड़ा सा क्लिनिकल एस्पेक्ट पर ध्यान दें. द सिम्टम्स ऑफ एसेंशियल फैटी एसिड डिफिशिएंसी इन द ह्यूमंस, they include skin ka lesions and the impairment of lipid transport. Abnormal metabolism of EFA, they may be connected with the dietary insufficiency, and these are seen in many conditions, and few of these conditions are cystic fibrosis, acrodermatitis enteropathica, the hepatorenal syndrome, the Sjogren's-Larsen syndrome, multisystem neuronal degeneration, the Crohn's disease, cirrhosis and alcoholism, and Reye's syndrome. So these are all showing abnormal metabolism of the essential fatty acid. Here I am showing you a picture of the Sjogren's-Larsen syndrome. Now, what is that? In this syndrome, there is a condition of congenital ichthyosis with mental retardation, and you will see the shiny, scaly, dry skin, just like a fish. That is why it is known as ichthyosis. So skin like dry and horny skin like a fish, and there is mental retardation in a patient presenting with the Sjogren's-Larsen syndrome. So diets with a high P and S ratio, that is polyunsaturated टू सैचुरेटेड फैटी एसिड रेशियो, ऐसा डाइट खाने से इट इज सीन दैट इट रिड्यूसेस द सीरम कोलेस्ट्रॉल लेवल एंड देयरफॉर दिस इज बेनिफिशियल in terms of risk of development of coronary heart disease. Arthat, if we take a diet which has more polyunsaturated fatty acids in compared to saturated fatty acids, so what happens is that ये help करता है कोलेस्ट्रॉल लेवल जो हमारे बॉडी में है उसको कम करने में. अगर कोलेस्ट्रॉल लेवल कम होगा, एथेरोस्क्लेरोसिस कम होगा, एथेरोस्क्लेरोसिस कम होगा तो कोरोनरी हार्ट डिजीज कम होगा. अभी हम जस्ट देखें दी NSAIDs दे इनहिबिट द कॉक्स एंजाइम. एस्पिरिन के बारे में पढ़े, ये COX-1 COX-2 पे एक्ट करता है. इंडोमिथासिन, आइबुप्रोफेन, दे इनहिबिट साइक्लोऑक्सीजनेज एंड बाय कंपीटिंग विद द एरोकेडिनेट मॉलिक्यूल. Now the different prostanoids, they also have many medical uses. So it has therapeutic use, and the potential therapeutic use of prostanoid is its prevention of conception, induction of labor at term, the termination of pregnancy. So these three are important uses, medical uses of the prostanoids. It also prevents or alleviates और फायदा होता है पेन में, गैस्ट्रिक अल्सर में. This controls inflammation and blood pressure in many. The prostanoids, they give relief in asthma and nasal congestion. In addition, prostaglandin D2, it happens to be a potent sleep promoting substance. So the prostaglandins, they are increasing the cyclic AMP in platelets, the thyroids, the corpus luteum, the fetal bone, the adenohypophysis and the lungs. But they reduce CMP in renal tubule cells and adipose tissue. Leukotrienes and lipoxins, they are potent regulators of many disease processes. As I told you, the slow reacting substance of anaphylaxis, it is a mixture of leukotriene, C4, D4 and E4. And these are the mixtures of leukotrienes which cause constriction of the bronchial airway musculature, leading to the condition of asthma and anaphylaxis. So this leukotrienes with leukotriene B4, they also increase the vascular permeability and the attraction and activation of leukocytes. And ये बहुत important regulator है बहुत सारे diseases में, जिसमें कि inflammatory और immediate hypersensitive reaction जैसे आस्थमा होता है. Leukotrienes are vasoactive and 5 lipoxygenase ये arterial wall में मिलता है. Evidence supports an anti-inflammatory role for lipoxin in vasoactive and immunoregulatory function. इसके साथ I end this chapter on the lipid biosynthesis. It is a little confusing, but put your head down, पढ़ो, बहुत important chapters है. Next class में I will be teaching cholesterol metabolism. After that, the lipoproteins and the transport of lipids in the body. Okay, have a great day, study hard, and first and foremost remember, protect yourself and protect your family. Avoid going out unnecessarily. If you go out, always wear a mask. Remember and tell your family members कि बिना मास्क पहने प्लीज कोई नहीं जाओ. सैनिटाइजर से हाथ पोछो. घर आओ तो साबुन के पानी से हाथ धो और अपना बाहर वाला चप्पल बाहर ही छोड़ दो. Remember, all these small steps that you will take will help prevent the COVID-19 infection in the family and the society. Okay? With this, bye and thank you.